Imagine, for a moment, the feeling of being completely in control of your own body. Imagine knowing that the key to your health, to reversing conditions that you may believe are permanent, is not in a crowded pharmacy, but in something surprisingly simple. You've probably heard about fasting before. Maybe you've even tried skipping a meal or two. But what if I told you that there is a specific protocol, a method so radical that conventional science hesitated to accept it for decades, yet it is now forcing a complete reevaluation of how we treat chronic diseases? Pay close attention to this, because you may have never realized it, but modern medicine often focuses on managing symptoms rather than curing the root cause. And what if the solution to your hypertension, your obesity, or even your type 2 diabetes was found in a natural process your body already knows exactly how to perform? This might change the way you see everything you've been told about health. Today, you're about to discover the story behind this method and the man who dared to prove that it works. That man is Dr. Alan Goldhamer.
Now, let me explain something I've been observing for decades. Many people believe that what we do is just another trendy diet, but it isn't. What we explore here is an ancient practice, refined through rigorous modern science. I have dedicated a large part of my life to studying something very simple: water-only fasting performed under medical supervision. And the reason is straightforward. When the body stops constantly receiving food, it activates deep mechanisms of self-correction. Over the years, I've seen patients understand something that almost no one explains clearly. When you stop eating for a structured period of time, your body doesn't collapse. It shifts into repair mode. To understand why this is so revolutionary, we need to look at the context of modern medicine. Traditional medicine is extraordinary in emergencies, in trauma, in surgery, in acute infections. But when we talk about lifestyle-related chronic diseases, hypertension, obesity, or even type 2 diabetes, the current model often limits itself to controlling symptoms. And that was exactly the question that led me to study therapeutic fasting. What if instead of managing these diseases forever, we could allow the body to simply reverse them? That question is what led me to found the TrueNorth Health Center in California. But let me clarify something important. This is not a luxury spa where people go to lose a few pounds before a party. It is a clinical treatment and research center. Over nearly 4 decades, more than 25,000 patients have undergone supervised water-only fasting protocols, lasting anywhere from a few days to several weeks. That number matters, because we're not talking about a single anecdote. We're talking about a massive clinical data set. My goal has always been to take fasting out of the realm of mysticism and bring it into the realm of science. But here's something many people don't realize. Fasting is only half the method. The other half, and perhaps the most difficult part, begins when the fast ends. After fasting, patients must rebuild the way they eat. And this is where a radical shift happens. A diet based exclusively on whole plant foods, with no added salt, no oil, and no sugar. Think about that for a moment. In a world where nearly all processed foods depend on those 3 ingredients to stimulate the brain, this approach seems almost impossible. Yet it is precisely this simplicity that allows the body to maintain the healing process initiated during fasting. Over time, I realized something very clearly. If I wanted science to take this work seriously, it wasn't enough to observe clinical results. Everything had to be documented. That's why we created the TrueNorth Health Foundation, an organization dedicated to funding rigorous scientific research. Every case is documented, data is collected, studies are published in peer-reviewed medical journals, and the results began to show something many experts did not expect to see: drastic reductions in blood pressure, normalization of blood glucose, sustainable weight loss. All of this without complex pharmaceutical interventions. In fact, there was a curious moment in the history of this research. Some of the early studies on hypertension showed such dramatic reductions in blood pressure that some researchers initially doubted the results. It seemed impossible that something so simple could produce such powerful effects without medication. Independent audits were conducted. The data was reviewed, and when the results were replicated, it became clear that what we were observing was simply the body's own capacity for recovery. When the body is no longer constantly busy digesting food and dealing with dietary excess, it begins to repair itself. You may have never thought about it this way, but your body is constantly trying to repair itself. The problem is we rarely give it enough time to finish the job. I like to use a simple analogy. Imagine trying to repair a highway while heavy traffic never stops. That's exactly what we do to our digestive system. Fasting creates a pause that allows the body to redirect energy toward cleaning, regeneration, and cellular recycling. This process is known as autophagy. During autophagy, the body begins breaking down damaged cellular components and reusing them to build new, healthier cells. This isn't theory, it's basic biology. And here's something many people surprises. They believe that without food, energy disappears. But many patients report the exact opposite after the first few days of fasting. When the body shifts to burning stored fat, a state called ketosis, the brain begins receiving an extremely stable fuel source. This often leads to mental clarity, focus, and sustained energy. The weakness people fear is often not a lack of food. It is simply the body adapting to a new metabolism. After decades of observing these processes, I realized something very important. The real secret isn't me. It isn't the clinic, and it isn't even fasting itself. The real secret is the extraordinary ability the human body has of healing itself once we finally stop interfering with it. Therapeutic fasting simply creates the conditions for that biological intelligence to do what it has always known how to do. And perhaps that's exactly why this idea seems so radical. Because it reveals something we often forget. The best doctor you have ever had is already inside you.
So let's recap what we've learned. We saw how decades of research and clinical practice with therapeutic fasting have shown consistent results in thousands of patients. We learned that the method does not rely only on fasting, but also on a clean diet based on whole plant foods. And we saw that when these two strategies are combined, something profound happens. The body returns to operating the way it was biologically designed to do. Perhaps the greatest lesson is this: real health may be far simpler and far more powerful than we've been led to believe. Now, I want to hear from you. Had you ever considered that something as simple as fasting could have such a profound impact on health? Leave your comment below. If this video made you question what you've always heard about health, like the video so more people can discover these ideas. And subscribe to the channel to continue exploring the mysteries and truths of the human body. Thank you for watching until the end.